Kia ora koutou, ko Billy Moody toko ingoa. My name's Billy Moody. I'm a radiation therapist and the director of the Bachelor of Radiation Therapy here. Thank you for joining us this evening. We've got a lot of information to share with you tonight, so thank you for joining us. Hopefully we will get all of your questions answered. With me this evening, I have some of our lovely students. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We're going to start here.
My name is Neve and I'm a second year student at the moment.
I'm Sienna and I'm also a second year student at the moment.
Kia ora koutou. My name is Sai. I'm one of the third year radiation therapy students.
Cool. So the way this session is going to run, I've got a presentation to go over with you. So we'll run that. It will take 20 to 25 minutes. And then we've got time afterwards for questions. If you've got questions for us, please use the Q&A function. The chat function won't work, but the Q&A function will. So please feel free to pop your questions into there, and we'll either answer them live, and I'll throw them mostly over to our lovely students here, or also in the room with me is Kate, our head of department, who's managing those questions. She might reply in the Q&A as well. So right now I'm just going to share the screen, and we'll get going with our PowerPoint.
The study of RT encompasses the theoretical and the practical components. So the program set up, so the first year is theory, second and third year, half of it is practical and half of it's theory. Things that we're looking at for study in the academic is anatomy and physiology, the study of radiation therapy, and that's including physics, the cell types, how we actually apply the radiation, and then some of the specific things around radiation therapy planning. So some of the real aspects of the job you'll also do.
So when you think about university, you think that you sort of have a lecture sort of like 4 a day maybe, so maybe they're 4 hours. While at Wellington, it's sort of like 9 to 4.
When I started studying, it was a bit of a shock to the system because I was a school leaver, and most of the class is coming from health science or other studies. But it was really good in the sense that everything that we were learning was relevant to what we were going to be doing.
You get to spend 2 weeks on clinical placement. It's probably one of the few professions that you have clinical within your first year. So it's really good for like right from the onset to have that sort of contact with the patient and sort of like seeing what it is you're going to do in your profession.
In the clinic, the students will always rotate around all of the areas that we work in. So they'll be rostered into the CT area and into our planning department where we design the best way to deliver the treatment, and then into the actual treatment machines as well.
You've got to be an empathetic person, but also not let things bring you down.
So you're dealing with patients that do have cancer, they're coming to you for treatment. They sort of come to you and they're quite vibrant, so like you're smiling and happy and you meet them with a smile and you start to like build a really good rapport with them.
It's such a rewarding job. Most people, when I tell them about what I'm doing, they're like, that must be so sad, but until you're actually in here and actually see how much of like a happy environment it actually is, it's something special, and a lot of people don't really get to experience it.
You also need to have an interest in science and the technology. The technology is always changing, it's a very exciting area. So it's those mixture of the two, the caring and empathy for the patient as well as the technology.
You need to have really good team skills. You need to have good problem solving skills. So you need to be able to sort of identify what the issue is and what action you need to take in order to resolve it.
When I graduate, I'd like to work in New Zealand for a couple of years. I think the New Zealand medical standards are so high, it'd be really good to get some experience here for a couple of years and then look to travel.
I've been working for just on a year now. Everything becomes a lot more ingrained. You sort of don't have to think about stuff in the same way you do as a student, but it's actually really rewarding working with people, seeing them up to sort of just about 40 days in a row. So in that sense, it's really rewarding getting to know them.
It's one of the great things about our qualification is that we can work anywhere overseas. Really, New Zealand radiation therapists are highly sought after around the world. We have a highly regarded degree and the door is open to most countries around the world to work.
Right. So, said a lot of what we do in the video and heard from some of our past students, but one of the questions is what really is radiation therapy? And what we're doing is the planning of treatment of disease, to treat disease with high energy radiation. And that disease is pretty much mostly cancer. That is what we treat. And we're part of a really highly skilled team of health professionals doing that. So we don't work on our own. We work very much in these multidisciplinary teams. One thing that often gets asked and gets often confused, and I'm sure these guys will all have a story about it as well, is we get confused with our medical imaging colleagues. So we were sort of sister professions, we came from the same professions, but are now two distinct professions. So medical imaging or diagnosis is the X-rays. So X-rays, CT scan, MRI, nuclear medicine and ultrasound. And that's a separate qualification, separate degree process. And you can do that through Unitec, UPOL, or the University of Auckland. We are radiation therapists, so all of our patients are diagnosed already. We may use some of the same equipment, but for a different purpose. So we know all our patients when they come to us, they already know they have cancer, they know their diagnosis, and we're doing that therapy process, not the diagnostic process. We are the only program. You can only do that through the University of Otago. So we work very much in a team. And so with our medical colleagues, so with the doctor, with medical physicists, nurses, dietitians, social workers, because one of the things we want to do as radiation therapists and our cancer treatment is treat the whole person, not just a disease. So we've got sort of bring in all sorts of different professionals to make sure that we can care for our patients in the most holistic way possible. There are three key areas that we work in as a radiation therapist, and they can be broadly divided up into pre-treatment and treatment. And in the pre-treatment area, having said we're not diagnostic, we do use CT scanners, but we use them for quite a different purpose. So we do want to take the image of the patient's body, but we want to take that image in a very certain position. One of the things with radiation is once you give it, you can't take it back. So we have to get it right the first time. And that means making sure our patients are in positions that we can reproduce every day for treatment. Some of our patients will come for up to 7 weeks of treatment. So it's really important that every day looks the same as the day before. So a lot of time we're spending taking positioning. We will take that CT scan, but it's more about now getting information about the patient's anatomical data in the position that we're going to treat them. Take lots of measurements at CT as well. And sometimes now we will do tattoos as well. Kind of an X marks the spot. That's sort of becoming older technology. It's being phased out a little bit, but it still is part of what we do for many of our patients. Once we've got that information, we will then send that through to our planning system. And we use really highly specialised computer planning, 3D computer planning system. What we're trying to do is deliver as much radiation dose to the cancer, to the tumour, but none of the normal tissue around that tumour needs any treatment at all. And so we're wanting to try and design the best angles to have the radiation coming from to try and achieve that. So maximise dose to the tumour, avoid the normal tissues as much as we can. We can't avoid them completely. And so a lot of what we're doing at that time is trying to make the decisions about what's the risk and what's the benefit for the patient. An easy plan, a straightforward plan could sort of take half an hour to do. A really complex plan could take several days. So there's quite a range of skills in that planning department. Once we've created that plan and it's had lots of checks and has been signed off, we do that in consultation with the doctor and with our physics team, we'll be sent to the treatment unit. And so here we use machines that we call linear accelerators. It just means that high energy X-rays are accelerated in a straight line. Not actually that fancy of a name when you think about it. And so these are very high energy X-rays. They can go up to 18 million volts is the energy of them. And so we can use that to target the tumour and treat the tumour. Patients could have anything from 1 treatment through to 35, 36 treatments. So one of the really nice parts of being on treatment is that we get to know our patients really well. I mean, if you want a career where you really like science and you're quite interested in technology, but actually you want to work with patients and you really want to get to know people really well, this is a really nice mix of the two. On the treatment machine each day, you're going to be seeing that patient, you make real connections and real rapport with them, and we're trying to manage their side effects to make sure they're safe to treat and well enough to continue on with their treatment and still have some sort of quality of life where they're going. So to study to become a radiation therapist, there's lots of skills that you're going to develop on the program. And that's things like excellent communication skills. So as I said, we're meeting all our patients. All our patients have got cancer. They can be in quite vulnerable positions. So we have excellent communication skills to try and make them feel as relaxed and comfortable as they can in this really strange environment for them. Then really we'll develop really good problem-solving skills. No 2 days are the same. No 2 patients are the same. And so we're always having to think on our feet quite fast. Teamwork. We only work in teams. As I said, that radiation, once you give it, you can't take it back. So we've got to get it right. So we double and triple check everything. So we always work in a nice team. So if you like working in that kind of teamwork environment, great option for you. Technical skills. You won't have them when you come on. We develop them for you as you go along. And the other thing is that coming back to the excellent communication skills bit as well, is having empathy for our patients, being able to put yourself into their position and think about, well, how would I feel if this was me? And what would I want to be having happen to me? An eye for detail. If you're a bit of a perfectionist, it's a great career for you. We want everything to be as perfect as possible, but we also need to be able to adapt in that as well. As I said, it can change quite quickly. So what's the job really like? One of the nice things about the profession is it's an outpatient service. So that means that we work 8 till 5, Monday to Friday. It's a normal working week. There's not an awful lot of weekend work. There's some on-call, but that's on a rotation basis, and it's not particularly onerous. One of the things, and I'm sure these guys can say as well, is you say to people what you do and they all go, oh, that must be really depressing job. And it's really not. There's a vibrant working environment. Our patients, and I can genuinely say this, a number of patients who have said, I didn't expect to come here for my cancer treatment and have a laugh every day. Now, obviously, that's not the case for every patient, but most of our patients are outpatients. They're living at home, they're still working, they're going about their normal lives. So the working environment is really supportive and really nice. There are opportunities to work overseas as well. I'll talk a little bit about that a bit later. But it is a nice health career that sort of mimics a bit more of a normal working week than you might find in some of the other health careers as well. A really good question to ask is it safe to work with radiation? And it is, yes. There is a lot of legislation and a lot of regulations that we work under. You are well trained, so we know how to keep ourselves safe. The thing about the X-rays is they're electrically generated. So when you turn the machine off, it's like pulling the plug at the wall. There is no radiation at all. It's ionizing radiation, so it's interacting with the patient's tissues and cells. But when we're in the room, there's no radiation at all. Patients stay in the room on their own for their treatment. We leave the room, but we're watching them the whole time on closed circuit TV, and there are cameras and things like that. So we leave the room. We don't receive any dose at all. You can still work while you are pregnant. You can work up to you're 9 months pregnant. There's no problem with that. And do like say, you're more likely to receive more radiation dose from flying to the UK than you will working a year in the radiation therapy department. So now that I've sold you on the career, how do you become one? So we are a 3-year degree. Now, this is where, just to clarify here, we are the University of Otago, and it is a University of Otago degree, but we are based at the Wellington campus. The University of Otago have a campus in Wellington. It's a small one, mostly medical students, but some dietitians, some physio students as well. And we are based there. So you do not train in Dunedin, you train in Wellington for your academic. And then for your clinical placements, and again, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, we've got partners around the country. So because we are the program for radiation therapy, our students will go around the country for their placement. 3-year qualification, 3-year degree. At the end of that 3rd year, as soon as you pass, you are registered with our regulatory authority. So you can work immediately, fully qualified. There's no intern year, there's no further sort of training or support that you need to do. You're ready to go. And that is quite attractive. You know, after 3 years, done, out there working. We have a number of admissions categories. So we'll take you from stage of life, really. So secondary school, 1 year of university, 2 or more years graduate and alternative. There are also subcategories. So there's Māori, Pacific Island refugees, socioeconomic and equity, socioeconomic and rural. Hash of that. If you're interested, if you think that might be a category that applies to you, I'm going to say this a lot, go and have a look on our website. All of the information is there about all of the categories as well as the subcategories as well. We are a competitive entry program. We have up to 40 places available on our program. And the applications are open now. They opened on the 1st of July and they closed on the 13th of August. I cannot stress enough that is a hard close date. If you miss that date, we cannot consider your application. It's a university regulation. If you're going to apply, I highly recommend you do not leave it to the 13th of August to do so. There is a bit of work you have to put into that application. So if you're starting your application at 11 o'clock on the 13th of August, you might run into a bit of trouble. So do give yourself a bit of time to think about that application process. I'm going to talk a bit more about school leavers in particular. I know a number of you who have joined us are coming from school. So I am going to talk specifically about that. But all of the other categories, you can find information on our website as well. So for school leavers, you need to get university entrance, you need to gain your level 3 qualification, and then you need to have the right subjects. So you need to be doing maths and physics or biology. So the physics and biology, you don't have to be doing both. It's one or the other. Fine, if you are doing both, you don't have to do both. In each of that math and the physics or the biology, you have to get 14 credits at the minimum in each of those subjects. And that's our entry criteria from the academic side from school. The other categories, the university categories, there are GPA requirements, a minimum of a 3.0 or a C+ for the 1 year and 2 year study. And then for the graduate, it's a minimum of a 4.0 or a, I think that's a B+, isn't it? No, B-, sorry. GPA for the graduate category. And then we have an alternative category, and that's sort of for people who may be some distance from study or have taken other paths in life and are now looking to come into the program. So again, go to our webpage. All of the information is there. It will probably answer all of your questions. If you've got specific questions about admissions process in particular, you can contact the Health Sciences admissions process in the university, or you could contact us and our email will come up at the end. It's also available on the webpage. So how to apply? So as I said, it closes 13th August. It's open already. So you do your application through the University of Otago eVision system. Once you've logged in and you've got yourself set up in eVision, you're going to select Health Sciences undergraduate professional programs and then select radiation therapy. Now, just one point confusingly, you'll select that you want to study, your study is in Dunedin. So it looks like you think you want to do radiation therapy, but I've selected Dunedin. As you get further through the system, it kind of writes itself, and we are only in Wellington. You will not be studying in Dunedin. So don't be alarmed if you see Dunedin come up along the way. Once we've got all those admissions in, once it gets to the 13th of August, we go through all of the applications. If it looks like you have potential to meet the criteria for the category that you're applying in, we will offer you an interview. Now, this interview is a Zoom-based interview. It's 15 minutes, very gentle process. These guys will talk about their interview experience a bit later on. And we do it, we're sort of wanting to get to know you a little bit more as well. So don't let the fact that there's an interview as part of this process put you off at all. It's quite a gentle process. And those Zoom interviews will be held in the week 28th of September. That's that first week of that September school holidays. And if you're invited, we will send you an appointment time for that interview. One thing is, if you're able to, we do recommend a tour to a cancer centre. You'll see where they are located fairly soon, because it gives you a really good idea and a really good feel for what the environment is like, and you can talk to radiation therapists and get a little bit more of an idea about it. And so you can book for that on our webpage as well. Again, go to our webpage, you'll find all the information there. So you can book on for those. Don't worry, though, if you don't live in an area with a cancer centre. Again, on our website, we do have a recording of a cancer centre tour, so you can have a look there, because we know they're not everywhere, and we don't want you to spend a fortune and a lot of time trying to get to one. So we've created an alternative for you. But do one or the other. Go and have a look at the video, or try and get yourself to a cancer centre if you can. Life here in the Wellington campus. We are small but mighty. So one of the things I would say, when you're thinking about what options you want for next year, if you want the really big university environment, you want the big lectures, that kind of huge, big campus life, we can't offer that to you here in Wellington. Dunedin can. But what we do offer you here is a class of up to 40, and your cohort are your professional peers right the way through. Lots of people find their best friend in that class. Classes become really tight-knit, really close with each other. You know, I've been qualified a really long time, but I'm still in touch with people from my course in my year. So your class is the same right the way through your training, and then there's the same people you're going to go out and work with once you're qualified as well. So if you know radiation therapy is what you want to do, and you're happy for that smaller kind of environment and more intimate, that's what we can offer you. You still get the other university opportunities, but just not on the scale that Dunedin can offer you. Oh, student life. See, there is one. So our students do all sorts of things, so either small groups or classes as well. So there's a lot of fun to be had on the program. How does this all run? So the 3-year program, the first year is pretty much mostly academic here in Wellington. So doing lectures, learning on the job. There will be clinical experience in that time, but it's predominantly here on the Wellington campus. Years 2 and 3. So in year 2, the first semester is out in a clinical placement, working and learning on the job. And so that could be one of our cancer centres around the country. Second semester of year 2 and first semester of year 3, you are still back for academic. So you've got a year's worth of block of academic time. And then your final semester in year 3 is back out on the job, doing your final learning, getting ready to go and be fully qualified. So where are our cancer centres? We have around the country. So our latest one to join the fold is Whangarei. That has only just opened. That's quite exciting for us. A couple of centres in Auckland, Tauranga, Hamilton, Palmerston North, Wellington, Christchurch and Dunedin. So those are the places that you will be able to do placements at. I'll just go back to that. I will say with the placement, we do offer you a preference of where you would like to go. When you come onto the course, you have to come on acknowledging that we can't guarantee that we will give you that preference. Wellington offer, we might have 20 people wanting to go to Wellington for 5 places, because everybody's made friends and got places to stay here in Wellington. So you have to come on being prepared that you might end up in a department or a city that you perhaps weren't thinking you were going to. Accommodation. Now, again, we're not in Dunedin, so there isn't an Otago halls of residence, those of you who are school leavers, here in Wellington. But what our school leavers do tend to do is Massey and Victoria University here in Wellington do accept students from other programs. And so generally our first year students, those who are just coming straight from school, will apply to and will be staying at Victoria University halls. Now, a bit more information about that on our website, but one thing about that is you apply for those halls through Victoria or Massey websites and systems, not through the University of Otago. So you'll have a 2-step program. You'll do your application to the program through Otago. You'll do your application for accommodation through Victoria or Massey systems. So we don't have any sort of allocation, but our students have been being offered places there in the last 10 years. Fine. Once you're qualified, so really good employment opportunities in New Zealand and overseas. We have been very short-staffed in New Zealand, and we are looking to grow the number of cancer centres around the country. So there are good opportunities. New Zealand radiation therapists are very sought after overseas, so there is a lot of travel opportunity as well. The starting salary, and this is actually they're just in a renegotiation phase, so the starting salary right now is 77,000 New Zealand dollars, and you automatically increase your salary for the next 9 years up to about, I want to say, 109,000. So that's automatic increments for the first 9 years of your qualification, of your career. Once you get to that point, moving beyond that will be about going into promotion, going into specialising in different areas and becoming specialist radiation therapists. Most centres will run what we call a new graduate program, so you're supported into practice. Having said you're qualified and ready to go, the steepest year of learning you will do is in your first year qualified, because suddenly you're out there on having to make all the decisions yourself with that weight of responsibility, and you're going to learn a lot in that first year. But there's a support around that. We're not just going to let people out and go for it. You can start to specialise, as I said, you can specialise throughout your career. In the pre-treatment area or treatment into areas you can specialise into. You can specialise into clinical education, data management, research and development. There's lots of avenues opening up for being able to develop in your career. Is that working overseas I talked about. We've got graduates working all around the world, and New Zealand RTs are extremely well trained and very sought after. So if travel is something you think you'd like to do and have a job that you could work at while you're doing it, it's certainly a great option. We just would like you to come back home because we need you here too. Postgraduate, so your learning doesn't have to stop, and your learning will never stop in your career. I must say the career of radiation therapy looks very different now to what it did when I trained. So the more technology increases, the more we can do, the more it evolves. So it doesn't stay static in terms of the sort of what the job looks like. You can do honours, you can do postgrad diploma, masters, and right up to PhD level. So want more information, again, please go to our website. I probably can't stress that enough. Almost all of your questions can be answered there on the website. And a contact email is there for our department as well. So if you've got if you go and have a look at all the information, and you look at the admissions categories, but you find you've still got specific questions about your situation, please do feel free to email through to us, and myself or Kate will get back in touch with you. And so for the last bit, I've just got a final word from some of our previous students just to finish off.
Hands-on experience, being involved in the community, diversity, people from all walks of life,
interpersonal communication,
friendly classmates, making a difference,
interactive learning environment,
whakawhanaungatanga, rewarding,
always more to learn,
variety,
interactive classes,
aroha, patient care and technology, personal interactions with lecturers, clinical experience,
hands-on learning,
new challenges every day,
supportive groups,
close to home, lots of different people,
caring, science and technology,
a strong and fun team environment, make a difference.
you get to meet heaps of cool different people.
All right. So that's the end of the sort of presentation time. Kate is now going to throw some questions over to us that you've been asking in the Q&A for us to answer for you.
Cool. There are quite a few questions around the competitive entry, kind of how many people usually apply. Maybe should you apply for other things as well?
Yeah, okay. So we do get lots of applicants. Last year we offered 180 interviews and we did 160 of those interviews. And from that, so 160 and then for 40 places. So kind of a 1 in 4 if you get to interview at this point. I mean, it can vary a bit from year to year, but that's roughly 1 in 3, 1 in 4 will get into the program. So you just want to try and do as well as you can in your studies. And in that interview, just come to sort of what you best put forward there. But because we are competitive entry, that does mean that you do want to have, hopefully we're plan A, but plan B and plan C as well. So we will ask you, what other things are you thinking about doing? Expecting you to have other options as well, because you can't fully control whether you get into this program or not. So do think about other options as well. If you don't get in next year, we don't make you an offer, you're welcome to reapply the next year. We're quite open to reapplications. We've had people who've applied 3 times before they got onto the program. So don't be put off. Equally, if you get made an offer and then you decide, oh, I'm not quite sure if radiation therapy is what I want to do, and you turn this down, and then you go away and do something else for a year and go, I really know, actually, I do want to do radiation therapy, apply again. We won't hold it against you that you turned us down. We will go, hooray, they've really thought about it, they really want to do the program. So don't worry about that from that point.
And then just some questions on the same kind of line around what are the interview panel looking for? And second part to that, when are you likely to find out about whether you've made it onto the program?
Yeah. So look, the interview panel are just looking to get to know you a little bit better. They're looking to see, can you communicate? Remember we talked about communicate was lots of stuff. Being able to clearly communicate with the patient. So can you communicate? Have you thought about what it'd be like working in a team? Have you worked in teams? Thought about problem solving? Have you thought about the diversity of kind of people that we might be working with? So when we offer you an interview, we will send you a couple of sample questions as well, so you have a bit of an idea. You guys, how did you find the interview? Neve?
I thought it was really good. I went into it obviously a bit nervous, but it ended up being not like super casual, not just a chat, but it kind of felt like that, just like a good chance to like explain myself and everything that I've done, and yeah, I really enjoyed it actually.
Rita? Sienna, how did you find it?
No, yeah, I was quite nervous for mine, even though I was in the same webinar about 2 years ago, and they also said not to be nervous, but genuinely you can't really prepare for it. You just have to be honest and just be honest with who you are, and it's quite easy, honestly.
Poor Sienna, she turned up and family, and Sienna and I know each other already, so I don't think that helped that me in the interview. So how about you? Yours is a bit different. Yours is in person.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah,
do that
yeah.
anymore. It's now all by Zoom. But yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I don't know, but I'm just saying because it was an interesting experience that as much as it's a conversation between, it felt like a conversation between professionals rather than more of a Q&A session. I get to know some of my interview panel members. One of them is sitting right here, who selected me to the program, and I work with the rest of the other two. So essentially, it can be nervous, and it's totally normal because you care about it. So understandable, and people who interview you would actually consider that. But it can be fun too. Yeah.
I echo what I said. We expect that you're going to be nervous. We're a bit worried if you're not, to be honest. And all I can say is just approach it like it was an in-person interview. So I would say get yourself prepared, put your nice clothes on, what you might wear to an interview, even though it's by Zoom and we can't see all of you. It just mentally helps you prepare you, get you in that kind of way of thinking. And then the panel members will work with you to settle your nerves. It's okay to be nervous. We will repeat questions if we have to. That's all fine. Oh, when will you find out? You will find out whether you're going to proceed forward from the interview or not around mid-October. And then if you're still sort of in the mix for moving forward from there, school leavers will find out. We do a two-phase process. So school leavers will find out whether you've got an offer or not in that mid-October time as well. The other categories, so university and alternative, you will find out in December, around December the 18th, before that offer will be known to you. Because we wait to have all of your academic results in.
Cool. Probably another question are on that same track, lots of questions around when do we find out if we've got an interview?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe answer that first and I'll keep on.
Okay, yeah, so close the 13th of August. You will find out if you've got an interview, I'm going to say about 3 weeks after that. So that interview is the 28th of September. We try and give you a couple of weeks of notice. It takes us quite a while to get through all the admissions, looking at all of the applications and then getting all the paperwork done. So 2 to 3 weeks after the close of the applications is when you will hear.
Cool. And how many people are on the interview panel?
You will meet 3 people on your interview panel. So you will meet one person who is a radiation therapist, but an academic radiation therapist, so from the university. And we're not a huge team, so that will either be me or Kate, who's asking the questions. And then the second person is a clinical person, so someone from a clinical department around the country. We've got one of the team members, James, is coming from the Tauranga department, and the other team member, Ashwarya, is coming from the Auckland Private Centre, so that's who you meet. And then the third member, sorry, we have 2 teams running at the same time, so you'll meet one or the other of those teams. The third member is someone from the Māori Health Workforce Development Unit, down in Dunedin in Otago. So there's sort of our external person is sitting on the panel as well.
Along the same interview line of questioning, but perhaps maybe the students could also contribute what they think about this as well. About someone worded it really nicely, what qualities in a person applying for the BRT might make them suitable to be a radiation therapist, and maybe if they don't have a lot of prior experience or know anyone in the field, how could they do some more research or find out some good things to help them prepare for the interview?
So, what would you think? That's a big question.
Yeah, that was a big question.
So I guess,
Really good question.
and it might be what you've noticed in some of the aunties that you've worked with, some characteristics that you thought were really good and made them suitable.
Everyone is obviously very caring because we are working with people at the end of the day. I think people who, mm, I'm not sure. People who,
Yeah, I think you're right. Caring is one
yeah,
of the big,
caring is like a
yeah,
real big one.
yeah, and that's that empathetic nature that we talked about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there one thing you would?
Um, look, we're all different. It's not like a copy paste
Yeah.
from every single person. But okay, I don't know if I can share it, but there's actually a study article. There's a research done on the radiation therapy student attributes. I don't know if you can go and look for it somewhere in the library search. Have a read through that article. It's a really fantastic research article that explains really good ways in terms of like the attributes. But more so, one common thing that I notice between all these different people that I interact with is that they really care about people. They're genuinely interested in what's happening in other person's life. And I think, yeah, that's the one important thing that I noticed.
You think of anything extra?
I think Billy touched on it quite a bit, but definitely teamwork. Like she said, literally everything we do on clinical is in a team. So being able to work with others, and then also like the other two have said, like working with patients and just being generally being able to work with people, I think definitely would help.
Yeah, I think those that the ability to be communicate. And when we say communicate, so in your interview, we're looking to see, are you showing interest? Can you demonstrate that you've liked working with people, that you're interested in people, that's a big part of the career that you want to have? I think other things are around that sort of attention to detail side of things. You know, are you a bit of a, I hate to use the word perfectionist, but I think we probably all sort of are really. You know, do you like things to be done in a set order? Do you like order? Do you like to be able to follow logically things along? Do you like to see things through? And are you easily flustered? You know, we want to be a little bit adaptable as well, I think is probably some of the quality. But I think the big one is, do you like people? Do you want to talk to people? Do you want to work with people? We can fix everything else. We can teach you everything else, but that one has it. What's your purpose? Is that what you want to do? Bring that.
The physics question.
So I'm going to throw it over. I'm going to say one thing and then I'm going to throw it over to students. Our physics paper isn't called physics, it's called radiation technology. It is specifically around the things that do with radiation and the equipment that we use, their end of physics. And so it's not a priority subject. We know lots of you won't have studied physics at school. We build the program knowing that. And at that point, I'm going to throw over. I'm going to leave Si for last.
Thank you.
For a reason, you'll find out in a minute. How did you find? Had you done physics at school, Nate?
Yes, I did physics at school. But like Billy just said, I think it is quite different to the physics we do in school. Like I guess taking it in school set me up well, but I do know people in the class that didn't take it, but they still did very well in the paper. And I guess like on the other side, I didn't take biology and I found it fine. Just been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I took biology and not physics at school. So I'd never been in a physics class in my life until I got to uni. But yeah, I think what Neve said, even if you have done physics in college, it's very different and very much tailored to the degree. So everyone ends up being in the same boat anyways, pretty much. But yeah.
The reason I left social last is it was our physics you tutored this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So physics side, the radiation technology side was one of the tutors for our students. So he probably finds it a bit easier. But what would you think with the students you were tutoring last year and things?
It was really good. Like, I love physics in that side of things, but I think it's Okay, I might be wrong. Just help me out here. But it's not so much about how much physics knowledge that you can bring to the course, but more so about how keen are you actually to learn about the technology that's around the course itself. The reason why I'm saying is that, to quote one of my lecturers here, how we use the technology to do things will change from today to tomorrow. But it's important to ask why we do what we do. If we get the answer why we are doing what we're doing, how we're going to use the technology to do that is secondary. There's always people to teach us, but it's important is to bring that curiosity and wanting to learn more about that is more important than how much knowledge you have about physics.
I think one of the things I would say at this point as well, I'm interested in your guys' view on this. We are a small program, so there's not a huge teaching staff. And so that's really great because you get to know us really well. And our doors are always open to come and ask us questions. If you don't understand something, we want you to come. And so that the fact that we get to know you really well and you get to know us really well is great. It also means that we actively know how you're going in the program. So you can't hide from it. So we're looking out for how are you going, what support do you need, what's the struggles here. If you are open to seeking support, the support is there. And I'd be interested in you guys reflecting on the environment of what it's like, in this program in terms of that relationship with the lecturers and things as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, there's been a few classes that I've needed a bit of extra help with, and just flick an email, and like the next day I've got a little appointment booked with one of the lecturers, and they're very good at helping and good at replying to emails too, which is handy.
Most of the time. So would you?
Yeah, well, I know we are a degree that's through University of Otago, but most of you, I'm hoping that we'll be able to see you guys here. When you start your course, you'll realize that it's quite different to the university where you'll be like heaps of students where lecturers delivering the course and then going away. It's more like very personalized learning in a way, where you can actually rock up to lecturer's office or just send an email, as Neve suggested. Hey, look, I'm not quite sure how this works. Could you just explain? We'll book a time just on the very same day sometimes. Yeah, it's quite I don't know, one-on-one, quite a lot of learning. But mind you, most important thing that I find really helpful is that how respectful lecturers are when you actually come up to them and say, look, I'm not quite sure, I don't understand this. And that the way that they explain it, in the amount of time and effort that they put into. And most importantly, I like how lecturers actually want you to succeed in your course academics as well as whatever you're doing.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just pretty much the same, but it's so easy to get in contact with anyone, whether that's the lecturers, we've got tutors, even just asking people in the class. It's all quite easy to get around and get help as well.
We say that we put a lot of effort to getting you onto the program. We're going to make it hard for you to get off once you're here.
There's some good questions about the mix of theory and practical work on the program.
Yeah. So as I said, that it's sort of a year's worth of practical and 2 years worth of theory, roughly. I think the first year it is a lot of theory, and it can feel a little bit like, oh, it's a trust exercise that we know what we need to teach you. But once you get out into the clinical in the second and third year, suddenly it all starts to come together, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to swerve it a little bit, and this might be a question that's asked, but I'd like you guys to talk about how you found the balance of work, like how you managed, how much of the academic load was there, and what was it like in the clinical as well? How busy was your schedule last year academically?
It definitely is a step up from school, but that is as expected because we're doing a degree now. But I was able to like play multiple sports throughout and make all my trainings, make all my games, and still find time to study, get to all my classes. So I found definitely need to work on my scheduling, but once you get that sorted, it's definitely doable, very doable.
You had a job last year, didn't you, Fiona?
Yes,
Yeah.
still do. Yeah, same as Neve, very doable. I was able to work while studying as well, and well, I'm from Wellington, but so all my family and stuff are here, so I still had heaps of time for family and friends. Yeah, just about managing time and doing it when you're meant to be doing it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's organization skills and managing your own life. I think it's what helped me is the fact that the program is sort of in person rather than like a distance learning. Meant that I was able to get those skills and refine those skills while we are still at uni during the year one before we went off to placement. In certain aspects of placement were really easy because it's almost like you're working there. You're one of the professional, and even then, you know, there are lots of areas that we may not know by the time in clinical. But year one forms a foundation for all those core things when we go to year two clinical practice, the first semester. Things begin to make more sense what we learn at uni. It's like a process of completing a jigsaw puzzle. As you progress along, things seem to make sense. So,
What I would say is the content is not hard, but in some of the papers there's a lot of it. So in the anatomy paper and in the rad tech paper, there's a lot of content. So you've got to stay, you've got to get yourself learn quite quick, you know, about getting yourself timetabled, getting a good structure around your study. Now we've got all those support systems here. There's academic learning support, things like that to help you, and they come and do sessions with you to help you like that. I think structuring your study is really key. I really like Si's point. We know that students, we are an in-person program. We do require attendance in the class. We know that the pathway to being successful is attending those classes. So we design them to be, we're not really a didactic lecture. So we're not standing up in a big lecture room talking at you for a couple of hours, although sometimes I do. Really, we're wanting to hear from you guys. We want you to learn, talk to each other, learn from each other. So it's we try to make it quite interactive, the kind of learning where we can as well. Some of the other subject things like the radiation therapy planning, that Kate and myself teach. I mean, that's a whole new skill set for you. So turning up is definitely the way to be successful in that kind of thing as well. But it's about structure, I think, of your study rather than the content being hard. Would that sound fair? Yes. Yeah. So,
we're nearly at the end.
Yeah.
I was wondering if the students wanted to tell us the best thing or the thing they've enjoyed the most about the program.
Or, you know, at this point, when you were coming on, what you were deliberating about and the things you wondered about and questions you had. Or whatever you want to say.
For me, I think because we're in second year now, we've finished our second year placement. It's so rewarding, like realizing how much you've learned from first year and how much you understand. And there's just we've learned so much, and it really is for a reason. And I really enjoyed clinical personally.
Yeah, so like what Billy just asked, I was choosing between this and first year health science. I really had no idea what I wanted to do, but I ended up choosing this. And like Sienna was talking about, this placement this year really just reinforced me that I think I have made the right decision. I really enjoyed placement, and like being able to see like having a real impact on like real people. It's so nice and so rewarding, like actually having an impact and seeing them smiling when they see you. And yeah, it's really nice because you see them every day for many weeks and you really build quite a bond with them. I think that's been my favourite part of the program so far.
Yeah, definitely. I think rarely a day goes by where patients would bring a cake or two cakes or heaps of stuff, goodies, to just express their gratitude towards the care. And it's really rewarding career. I know some of you might be having questions around like, oh, should I apply for it or not? I think my suggestion here is that just apply for it. I know you might have heaps of questions about, oh, will I be selected or not? Just apply for it first, and then just send an email or get in touch, just asking questions that you might have. I have met people who haven't got selected for the after the interview, but their experience is that they've learned something about themselves after the interview, and they've reapplied again and got selected for the program, and they were so happy that they chose radiation therapy as a career. So yeah, just apply for it. Yeah.
I would echo that too. Even if you're not certain at this point, you lose nothing by throwing an application. And I don't mean throwing, putting a bit of effort into putting in an application. Because, you know, and even like I said, if you get through the interview and we make you an offer, you only have to make your decision at that point. And it's okay to turn us down. We want you to want us as much as we want you. And I think that's really genuine. This is a vocational career. You're looking to get into this profession for this specific group of people. So we want you to want it as much as we do. So even if you're not sure, put the application in, go through the process. You don't have to make a decision till then. Okay to turn us down. It's also okay to then go in a year's time, I made a mistake, need to come back. You can apply again, and we will go, yay, they really want it. Genuinely. That's our view. We are about to hit 6 o'clock. I want to thank you all for staying online and joining us this evening. I hope that has been helpful to you and answered your questions. If not, I'm going to say it again. Go look on our website. Lots of information there. If you have specific questions for us, please email us. You'll find it on the website for rtinquiries.uaw@otago.ac.nz. That will come through to Kate or myself, and we will be back in touch with you to answer your query. I look forward to hopefully seeing all your applications and meeting many of you at interview. Go well with your studies and the rest of the year. Try and have a life as well. Enjoy what you're doing. And we look forward to hopefully meeting you in the near future. Thank you very much.